We are at the quarter season mark of the Jacksonville Jaguars season, so let's talk about how we're doing. Now, one thing that a lot of you guys don't know about me is that my family has a long history of mental health, including my own mother, who unfortunately did take her own life when I was just 12 years old. Is something interfering with your happiness and preventing you from achieving your own personal goals? Regardless if you have a clinical mental health issue like depression or anxiety, or if you're just a human who lives in this world who is going through a hard time, therapy can give you the tools to approach your life in a very different way. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about today's sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp's mission is to make therapy more affordable and more accessible. And this is an important mission because finding a therapist can be really hard, especially when you're limited to the options in your area. BetterHelp is a platform that makes finding a therapist easier because it's online, it's remote, and by filling out a few questions, BetterHelp can match you to a professional therapist in as little as a few days. It's easy to sign up and get matched with a therapist. You guys can see the top of my description down below. There's going to be a link for you guys there. Clicking that link helps support the channel, but it also gives you 10% off your first month of BetterHelp so you can connect with a therapist and see if it helps you. And because finding a therapist is a little like dating, if you don't really fit with that therapist, which is a common thing with therapy, you can easily switch to a therapist without stressing about insurance, who's in your network, or anything like that. Unfortunately for my family, this tool wasn't available back in 2006, so something like this would not have been available to my mother, and maybe it could have helped her go through her struggles. So if you're struggling, consider online therapy with BetterHelp. You can click the link down in the description box below. That'll take you right there, get you your 10% off, and huge thank you again to BetterHelp for supporting this channel. Now, with all that said, let's get into the contents of this video. Now, if you were to take a step back and look at the Jaguars season, I'd say we're in a pretty good spot. Now, granted, some people, when we looked at the Jaguars, there were people projecting us to go, 14-3 and those kind of records. Now, if you were having those kind of expectations, we're probably not in the real, we're probably playing very disappointed. I'll just say that. However, if you are to really look at things, the Jaguars are 2-2 right now. And look, I think the Jaguars are in a pretty good spot. Now, when you look at the Jaguars' 2 wins, fans have been extremely critical of it, mostly because, I guess the way that Jaguars won. But one thing that we know as Jaguar fans is that, look, winning is very hard in this league. I mean, wins have been very, very few and far to come by for the Jaguars in the last, really just decade, even decade plus. And the Jaguars and the 2 wins actually won by double digits. So it's crazy that the Jaguars are going out there winning by double digits and we're saying that we didn't play well. It really is a testament probably to us probably being a good team, but that we're just underperforming a little bit on how we would like to really look. Now, the biggest surprises really of right now is that I think the defense is actually good. Now, in a 4-game sample size, the Jaguars defense has played very well in 3 of those games. The Jaguars are able to get takeaways. They're actually 4th in the NFL in takeaways. But really, the key to this defense is being able to get pressure on the quarterback. And I've said this so many times, and I'm like, you know what? The thing that our defense is really missing is that the defense doesn't have that true premier player, the game wrecker, the guys like, Nick Bosa or TJ Watt, those guys. The Jaguars, need one of those guys to be able to be great and unlock a defense. But you know what? The Jaguars have a player like that sometimes. Look, when Josh Allen is playing at his best, the guy is an absolute game wrecker, and the guy is just crazy on the field when you look at him. And look, Josh Allen has had 2 very, very good games this year. Week 1 against the Colts, he had 3 sacks. Week 4 against the Atlanta Falcons, also 3 sacks. However, he hurt his shoulder a little bit in week 2, and I think it hindered his abilities in week 2 and week 3. But Josh Allen, man, when he is at his best, he's an awesome player. And I think Jaguars fans, they're not surprised that Josh Allen can do this, but most Jaguar fans are just a little bit disappointed that the guy isn't consistently like that every week. And that is a big flaw of his. He'll play extremely well one week and then the next week not really do anything. So really, Josh Allen, if he is playing good, the rest of the defense plays really well. So we have to figure out a way to really, be able to have Josh Allen continue to play at that kind of level. Now, I also think the defensive line as a whole has been very disappointing. It seems like, Roy Robertson Harris has kind of disappeared. Fully Fatukasi, I don't know where he's been at. And number one pick Trayvon Walker has, in the pass rush territory, not been good, unfortunately. It sucks. He was number one overall pick, but he is being massively outperformed by other players in his draft class. But I won't really harp on that too much, but we just hope, look, Trayvon, go do your thing, man. You're looking at Josh Allen at the other side, completely dominate and completely eat. I hope that's motivation for him to go out there and do more stuff, because right now, all we're seeing are bull rushes. He went out there last offseason and supposed to get better on pass rushing moves. I haven't seen anything. So whatever. That is what it is. The Jaguars will be getting Smoot back at some point. There was an update that I think he's like practicing, or he got taken off of the pup or something. So he is kind of easing his way back in after tearing his Achilles on December 23rd of 2022. And also, I don't know what's going on with Devon Hamilton. The Jaguars have been very, very secretive about his thing right now. In my speculation, I think he probably had a really bad staph infection, because I guess he's like on antibiotics. I don't know why the Jaguars can't disclose more about it. I think there's rules when it's non-football related. A player has his right to privacy. But I mean, I remember like when Sam Darnold had mononucleosis, everybody kind of knew about it. So I don't really understand why, this whole thing is kind of being under wraps. But, maybe Devon Hamilton doesn't want it to be out there and be made public. So that is what it is. I'm not even sure if we'd expect to be back, because at this point, apparently he's lost a lot of weight, and it's going to take a while to get all that strength back. You know what I mean? So that's an fortunate thing to come out of our defense, especially after just signing a new deal. Now, I think one big thing that we're all kind of trying to figure out is like, what is our offense? Trevor Lawrence so far this year, 67.1% completion percentage, 943 yards passing, and only 4 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. Now you look at that and you say, man, he's not having a very good year. However, PFF actually has him graded as the second highest rated quarterback. Look, there are throws that are there. There's opportunities that are there, but his big thing is that, like, a lot of wide receiver drops, and also that the offensive line has just been terrible, and it's been speeding up, Trevor Lawrence's clock. Now, when you look at the offensive line right now, left tackle Walker Little, for the most part, has been good. Left tackle Ben Bartz got replaced after playing very, very bad by Tyler Shatley. Luke Fortner has not been very good, and it's tough with Luke Fortner because his thing last year was that, okay, he's not strong enough. He needs to build on his strength in the offseason. And this last, week, once again, in this whole entire year, he's just been kind of bullied, and he's not shown that he's very strong at the line of scrimmage, which is unfortunate. So Luke Fortner has been pretty disappointing. Right guard Brandon Sheriff, he seems to be back on track when it comes to injury-wise, so he played a little bit better last game. And also Anton Harrison has been playing better and better each week, so that's really, really nice to see. Now, the big thing about the offensive line is now Cam Robinson is coming back. So Cam Robinson is one of the best 5 offensive linemen, so he will definitely find a place to start. And, it's most likely going to be at left tackle. That's where the coaching staff has said he's going to play, all throughout the training camp when he comes back. And, Walker Little was the one that was getting reps at left guard. So imagine if I'm the Jaguars, Cam Robinson at left tackle, and you put Walker Little at left guard. Now, if it were up to me, honestly, with the way Luke Fortner's been playing, even though Doug Peterson said this morning that, hey, we have full confidence in him, I would probably replace him with Tyler Shatley, if I'm being honest. Like, Tyler Shatley, you kind of know what you're getting, and he doesn't really struggle with that. And the main reason why is because, it'd be one thing if it's like a player struggling with footwork, or if a player struggling with, different mental playbook kind of stuff. His weakness right now is physically, and right now his weakness is strength. And it's not like he's going to go out there next week and be like, oh, Luke Fortner played a lot stronger today. Like, I thought it was encouraging where it was like last year, okay, all he needs to do is work on his strength. That's easy. Just do squats, do jerks and lifts or whatever, do all that, and you're going to come back stronger. Right now he isn't stronger. So he's not just going to become stronger after a week. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I would do something where, put Shatley back in there, maybe have Luke Fortner work on strength stuff over the next 3 weeks exclusively, and then maybe try him back on there? I don't know, but honestly, I know that I'm honestly feeling a lot better about my offensive line if our stars would be Cam Robinson, Walker Little, Tyler Shatley, Brandon Sheriff, and Anton Harrison. I think that would be nice. And then all of a sudden, maybe Trevor Lawrence has some better pass protection. Not only that, but run blocking has been great, so that might include the run blocking too. And then all of a sudden, once the offensive line plays better, the rest of the offense plays better. Trevor Lawrence's mental clock is not sped up, and all of a sudden, these 3rd and 1, 4th and 1s, all of a sudden we're converting them. You know what I mean? That's kind of what I would do to kind of improve things. Now, one thing that's been really bad too is just wide receiver drops on the offense. Right now, we lead the NFL in drops, which is unfortunate. Calvin Ridley has been pretty rusty when it comes to drops and when it comes to getting a couple false starts in week 3. And the Jaguars kind of looked away from him last game. And, maybe as the Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence kind of earn some trust for Calvin Ridley, maybe he'll start to get the ball back. But, so far, I mean, we're not going to write him off or anything. But, yeah, it's been a little bit disappointing, unfortunately. But, I do really believe in Calvin Ridley's ability, and I think that he'll, be able to come back fine. And we've also had some injuries there. Look, Agnew missed last game. Zay Jones has missed a couple of games. And, with those guys missing, we have Hasty dropping touchdown passes in the end zone, So, and then Tim Jones, he dropped the ball too in week 3. So it's, Zay Jones is a big part of this offense, and Jaguars are definitely missing him. Agnew, like him in returning the ball, but, I don't know. And another thing, Parker Washington even got hurt last game. And I think he might be done for a while, it looks like. Apparently, it's pretty significant. So when you take a look at it, man, one thing that we did not understand that was going to happen is that the AFC South is actually a lot tougher than we initially realized. Look, every team right now is 2-2. You look around the league, and the Indianapolis Colts week 1 were like, how are we losing to the Colts? And then we did finally pull that out. But the Colts are actually pretty good right now, and they could easily be 4-0. On the season. And Anthony Richardson's only going to get better as the year goes on. You have the Houston Texans, who started off a little bit rough, but now they're kind of finding their footing. CJ Stroud is looking good. Nico Collins is putting up a bunch of numbers, and that might be a team that actually turns into a pretty good team. I do think that they're going to go through some struggles. I think they could be a team that one week blows a team out, then the next week just lays an egg. I think that is the kind of team to do that, but I could see this team finishing up with 6 to 8 wins on a season. That's kind of where I see them. And the Tennessee Titans will always be the Tennessee Titans. Look, they are boring to watch, and they play a weird, outdated form of football, but it does lead the wins. And, the last 2 weeks, they lost 27-3 to the Browns, and then the next week they won 27-3 against the Bengals. So they're a weird team, that's for sure. Now, overall, I am positive right now about the Jaguars. I know we had that 2-week slump where we're just felt so bad about everything. But we don't have to be perfect right now in early October. We don't need to be perfect this time of year. Right now, there's no undefeated teams in the AFC. A lot of teams are still figuring themselves out. I mean, the Chiefs don't even look that great right now. The Dolphins put up 70 and the next week put up an embarrassing performance against the Bills, and their defense isn't that great. The Bills look like a really good team right now after losing week 1 against the Jets, and the Bengals are in a big slump. And look, there's a bunch of teams still figuring themselves out right now. And I think the Jaguars are similar kind of in that spot. But right now, the thing that's going for us is that the defense does look good, and I think that the offense has the pieces to be great. If we can figure out a way to get pass protection good and push players back, get this offense moving, Trevor Lawrence is going to develop some confidence. Receivers start catching the ball, and overall, I think the big thing that we have is that the Jaguars have a really good quarterback. I truly believe in Trevor Lawrence, and if you don't believe in Trevor Lawrence, this is going to be the wrong channel for you, because I think very highly of Trevor Lawrence. And I think that, like I said, PFF has rated him as the second best quarterback. Some of these offensive struggles I don't see on him. Now, granted, maybe there are times where he misses a receiver. He's got to get better on that. But I think a lot of his issues have come not only because of the obvious with drops, but, a lot of times right now he's not trusting his offensive line. And the offensive line isn't giving him any reasons to trust them because they haven't been protecting him. You know what I mean? So that's something that's to be obvious. So the Jaguars have the quarterback that's making the throws, and we also have the head coach. I really believe in Doug Peterson. one of the best head coaches in the NFL. He's building the right culture here. And I think that, the defenses need to be good enough and the offense needs to figure itself out. And we have plenty of time to do that. Look, if you're at 4-4 and a halfway point, you're in a good spot, I think. Okay. But at some point, you do got to start rattling off wins. But I would rather rattle off wins in November and December than do that in like September and even like October, because it's NFL season. It's not necessarily how you start. It's more like how you finish. And the best team in January is a team that goes to the Super Bowl, not the best team in September and October. So, of course, got to continue to win some games, figure out this offense, and learn how to gel together. And then I think that we could be a very, very special team. So, with all that said, let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please drop a like for me if you guys can, and go Jags.